Train2Success.com brings you the latest in business management skills right to your desktop. At Train2Success, we combine thoroughly researched content knowledge, rich multimedia and interactivity to produce up-to-date e-learning solutions. Our products can be accessed on CD-ROM, corporate intranets or the internet. No matter which option you choose, you can be sure that all our products provide lasting learning value for busy professionals like yourself. Train2Success products are developed by Zenith Global Consultants.
Welcome to Decision Making. Decision making is as familiar to us as brushing our teeth. Only it is not so easy or simple. Even the very mundane decisions turn out to be a hassle. We need to take dozens of decisions each day. The purpose of this course is to understand the why, when and what's of decision making, the way the decision making process works, and what are the tools of decision making and how to implement and monitor them. Click on Decision Making to analyze the why, when and what's of decision making. Decisions are made to respond to change or to initiate change. Changes bring challenges and decisions are needed to meet the challenges. In an organization, decision making begins when a manager identifies the problems and issues and takes the required actions. It concludes when he has done everything to ensure that his decisions will be effectively carried out. Consider a company contemplating a new product launch. The first step is to undertake scientific thinking. Click on Scientific Thinking for more. Next will be Mathematical Thinking. Click on Mathematical Thinking for more. These two levels of thinking provides the answer to the "Is the company ready to launch the product?" question. Decision making is the only process that tells you if you can actually go ahead with a task or not. It answers the crucial question, should I or shouldn't I? Scientific and mathematical thinking aids the process of decision thinking. An objective perceives the outcome of the decision, the way you want it to be. Why should objectives be set? To clearly distinguish between what you want and what you do not want. Defining an objective will enable you to formulate a clear course of action. Objectives to be effective should answer the following questions. What should be done? How should it be done? Which is the best way to do it? When should it be done? When there is a problem, it is vital to identify the crux of the problem, sorting it out at the source to eliminate the spin-off effects. To do this, it is imperative to remain focused on the set objectives. Examine the following situation to understand the need to stay focused. Leisure Tours is a company that prides itself on ensuring customer satisfaction. A problem arises when Joe, the tickets and travel manager, fails to arrange for tickets required for the next day. The GM comes to know of this at the last minute and gets the tickets done by talking to his friend in the airline company. What do you think is the crux of the problem that needs to be fixed? A manager will not be able to decide autonomously. He will have to take a number of factors like past experiences, time pressures, human relations, stress, and creativity into consideration because his decisions are invariably influenced by them. Click on each for more. Lack of time is a major constraint to the decision-making process, but if you are well organized, this constraint can be overcome. Decisions can be broken into a series of manageable choices. Parts of the decision process can then be delegated to other people, and care should be taken to be explicit about their roles. This would avoid confusion and improve efficiency. Positive or negative experiences of the past influence the way a manager perceives situations. A failure in the past could hence be a major deterrent in decision-making. The outcome of this would be reluctance to take decisions, or taking very few risks by taking very few decisions. Culture determines the importance of human relations in business. The Chinese, for instance, believe in long-standing and sincere commitment to working together. It is considered not only a business necessity but also a matter of reputation. Creativity is an inherent need for decision-making. Locating the problem and finding the solution both requires creativity. Stress has two major consequences. Obstructing decisions takes the form of delays or avoidance of making a decision altogether. Management crisis. Planned and other ordered approaches are replaced by acts of desperation. In this module, you have learned that decision-making is an everyday activity. We also examined why, when and what of decision-making. Setting objectives before decision-making is crucial. It helps to decide what you want and do not want from a particular decision that you take. It helps to set a course of action to execute your decision. Finally, we walked through the various factors that affect decision-making. We will now go on to understand the process of decision-making. Click on the title to proceed. Thus far in the course, we have discussed why decision-making is useful, what is involved in decision-making, and the role of setting objectives in decision-making. The process of decision-making involves the following aspects: finding the existing problems, setting priorities, different approaches, developing alternatives. There are certain solutions that generally alert managers to possible problems. They are a deviation from past experience, a deviation from a set plan, informal communication, performance of competitors. Try this exercise to see if you can match the alert signals with the situations. After you finish, click on Done to get the right answers. Now let us see what you can do to identify the problems that are waiting to happen. Analyze the gap between the actual and desired state of affairs. Monitor one's own domain. Gather information. Set priorities. Click on each for more. Once the problem is identified, it is important to prioritize it. Priorities can be set based on the following questions. Is the problem easy to deal with? Might the problem resolve itself? Is this my decision to make? Click on each for more. This matrix, designed by Stephen R. Covey, enables us to set our priorities right. Click on each quadrant to know more. Quadrant 1 includes crisis situations. Ideally, one should spend only about 20 to 25% of time on activities relating to this quadrant. Quadrant 2 emphasizes the need to empower people. This will have a greater impact on the quality of your time. Hence, high-performance organizations spend 65 to 80% time here. Quadrant 3 represents urgent but not so important day-to-day matters. It is not wise to spend much time here. A moderate 15% will do. Quadrant 4 represents trivial tasks that can be ignored. All problems cannot be handled in a similar manner. Day-to-day problems can be handled by a set procedure, but there are problems that require change during the course of action. So, problems require programmed decisions, non-programmed decisions, and decisions involving other people. Click on each for more. Involving other people. There are several ways of involving other people in decision-making, like consultation, participation, and delegation. In managerial decision-making, it is imperative not only to come up with a solution, but to come up with the best possible solution. A manager should not settle for the first feasible solution, but should develop alternatives and then evaluate each alternative. The following questions can be used as the criteria for evaluation. Is this alternative feasible? For a solution to be successful, it has to have support within the organization. So the manager must evaluate the consequences as to what happens if such support is not won. Is this alternative a satisfactory solution? The alternative should meet the decision objectives, and it should have an acceptable chance of succeeding, assuming that the chance can be calculated under the conditions of uncertainty. What are the possible consequences for the rest of the organization? Any decision could affect the whole organization, not just the manager's department, but the consequences might be felt by others too. Hence, anticipate how change in one area will affect other areas. Likewise, long-term benefits should always be considered and should not be overlooked in the face of short-term benefits. Evaluation of alternatives is done based on a set of assumptions. Decision-making revolves around conditions of certainty, risk, and uncertainty. Click on each for more. Under conditions of certainty, the objective is known. There is also accurate, measurable, reliable information about the outcome of each alternative that is considered. Risk. In this condition, the amount of uncertainty of different outcomes can be quantified. Here again, the outcomes of alternatives cannot be predicted. Under conditions of uncertainty, very little is known about the alternatives and their outcomes. This situation arises when there is inadequate information and when conditions faced are partially or entirely beyond control. Go through the following situation and identify the condition. In this module on the process of decision-making, we have looked at finding existing and waiting to happen problems, how to prioritize the problems, how to approach the problems, developing alternatives and the conditions to evaluate the alternatives. Now take the following quiz to assess yourself on the process of decision-making. Click on Start to begin the quiz. Click on Tools, Implementation and Monitoring to proceed. This is the last module of the course. Here we will explain what is a decision-making tool and the various types of tools for decision-making. We will also take you through the aspects of implementation and monitoring the decision-making process. Decision tools are techniques that rely on quantification for their success. They serve to systematically evaluate alternatives and bring a scientific approach to decision-making. Here are the various types of tools for decision-making. Click on each to know more. The final stage of decision-making is implementation. To implement a decision, the manager must anticipate problems, sell the decision, and gain commitment. Decisional regret is a common experience when people have made an important choice. Once a decision is made, look forward to it. List a wide range of possible problems and evaluate them. Then countermeasures can be devised. This will save your plan from straying precariously off course. Decisional regret is a common experience when people have made an important choice. Once a decision is made, look forward to it. Sanction by the higher authority is important. Cooperation from other employees is required to execute the decision process. Sanctioning of resources to finance the activities is crucial for decision making. Once the decision is taken and the plan is implemented, monitoring forms a crucial part of decision making. The manager should keep reviewing the progress. Return to the original objectives and decide if they need modifying in the light of the current progress. Follow these guidelines to keep track of the situation. Monitor progress by establishing a timetable and clear deadlines. Clarify who is responsible for what, and that includes you. Make sure your instructions are clear. Leave no room for doubt. Be prepared for practical modifications. Review progress regularly, including the original objective. In this module, you have learnt about the tools of decision-making, implementing and monitoring the plan. Decision-making tools help you to arrive at the right decision. Some of the tools that we have introduced to you are statistical methods, information management systems, decision models, linear programming, networks, marginal analysis, cost-effective analysis, and heuristics. Once a decision has been taken, it needs to be implemented. Review all possible problems that could arise, but be also aware of the alternatives. Finally, get the commitment of your supervisors and colleagues to be sure that you get their cooperation. The final challenge in the decision-making process is to keep it on track. For this, you need to monitor the progress at regular intervals. You have now come to the end of the course on decision-making. Let us quickly go through the various aspects of decision-making. Decision-making is almost a reflex action. Each one of us takes decisions several times a day. For effective decision-making, you need to set your objectives. There are several factors that influence decision-making. Once you have your objectives, you are ready to embark upon the process of decision-making. First, identify the various problems and prioritize them. The time matrix of Stephen Covey will help you to determine how much time and effort to spend on each type of problem. Consider the different approaches to address the problem. While exploring solutions, look at alternatives and choose the best one. The decision-making process can be made more effective if you use the tools of decision-making. To make sure that the decisions that you have taken is reaching its objective, you need to have a plan to implement them. Once the work on the plan has started, monitor it regularly to be sure it is going in the right direction. That brings us to the end of this program. We hope we've helped you to make informed decisions. Thank you and goodbye.